Your subconscious, the reason why I talked about the fear of money and any fear of any limiting belief that you have, I want you to know your subconscious does not know if you're lying or telling the truth. Your subconscious takes you literal. If you say it, it is. And it will ensure that every mechanism, every force, everything that you do, everything that you see, everything that you focus on will reinforce what you told your subconscious. And ladies and gentlemen, that loop of the way you think, what you tell yourself, what you believe to your subconscious will continue, has played in our lives over and over and over. It's the way we see life and the way we view things and the way we look at new things that come into our world. My name is Chris Williams. I help ambitious employees build and grow their side business through a 5-day challenge. I hope you're having a great day. Listen, I wanted to come on here this morning because I learned of a term that I thought was so interesting that I thought we should talk about it. So what I want you to do is, and go look this up, because this is not like a joke. This is like a real fear. I was looking at like all of these different things about money, right? I was looking at like just different concepts, the psychology of money. If you haven't read that book, please go read The Psychology of Money. It is a fantastic book. It will just give you perspective. I think perspective and varying degrees of perspective make us a holistic person when we have to make decisions. That's just personal belief of mine. And in this book, a really great book called The Psychology of Money. But as I was reading through The Psychology of Money and just looking at other things about money, I came across a definition that was very interesting. It actually got me to thinking about how things are perceived, how we just go about everyday life. And so I wanted to share this definition with you because I believe that we would all find like some curiosity behind like an understanding of how we may arrive at some of the ideas that we do around money, right? So let's just first start off by saying one of the more important, and I'm just putting this information down here in the comments real quickly. One of the most important things that we will ever come into the knowledge of, I personally believe, is just the knowledge of self. I think the more we become self-aware, the more we're willing to say, hey, listen, I don't know something, somebody else does. Without judgment and bias, let me go learn it, right? I think that becomes important. So I want to give you, I got to give you this. I found a very interesting definition about the fear of money. This is, and it sent me down a rabbit hole, and I'm going to take you down the whole rabbit hole. But there's a reason for this. It's called chromatophobia. And I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, feel free, tell me down in the comments. But it's called chromatophobia. And it's the extreme irrational fear of spending money. It encompasses everything from fear of the spending of money and the fear of thinking about money to the fear of touching money. It combines the Greek word for, I'm seeing this as chromato, which means money, and the Greek word phobos, which means fear. So this is interesting. So not just the fear of spending money, but thinking about it or even touching money. Now this is the extreme case of fear around money, chromatophobia. This is what I found very interesting. And I think as we mature as adults, when you start thinking about your job, when you think about the salary you get paid today, when you think about the money that you make, I think all of us have the opportunity and should take some time to ask ourselves, how do I actually see money? What is it that I actually believe about money? And not because of what you read, not because of what somebody told you. If it's quiet and there's nobody around, no camera, no phone, no discussion, no anything, What do you actually believe about money? And I think it's a real important conversation to have. You know why? Because here's something I learned for myself. So maybe about 5 years ago, um, I I was unable to see myself when I was working in my corporate role. I couldn't see myself making $100,000 in a salary. That was close, but for some reason, that number in my mind was like a ceiling. And I would think about it all the time. Like I would literally be thinking about like, man, I can't like $100,000 a year. Like, whoa. And here's the way I rationalized my inability to make that kind of money in a salary at that time. The first thing that I went through in my mind was, well, if you make that kind of money, you must be responsible for a lot, and I don't want to be uh, responsible for too much, so I'll just stay where I'm at. That was like the first thing that I had in my head. The second thing I had in my head, which meant like, oh gosh, if I'm making that kind of money, well, then I'll be, and I know this doesn't sound weird, but I'll be taxed a lot. That's a lot of money to be taxed on. I don't want to do it. That was the second thing. But then I had this other thing that I wouldn't typically say out loud, but it was probably behind the driver's seat of the other two things. And the other thing that I used to deal with in my mind about making that kind of money a year from a job was I did not know or have the type of discipline or even understood what to do with that amount of discretionary income every single month. I didn't know because I hadn't been really exposed to or understood investing. I didn't understand delayed gratification. I didn't understand diversify. Like I didn't have context to help me understand that one, and now looking back at it, it's really not a lot of money. But then at that moment, at that time, this really, yeah, more like 6-7 years ago. At that time, in my head, it was this big thing. I remember watching a video by Brandon Bouchard, shout out to him, around that same time. And one of the things he said, it was a video, I'll never forget this. It was a video about how to get $100,000 a year job. It's literally what the video was about. And I remember watching it and I went, huh, what a concept. Because in my mind, I had a lid already. That's just not even, I wouldn't even give myself the permission to think that that was possible for me. Now, of course, don't judge me because you're probably like, well, Chris, that's pretty limiting, beliefs about yourself. Well, I think we all have limiting beliefs. We just don't always vocalize them. I think we all have limiting beliefs that are that one of those core limiting beliefs are driving every opportunity away from us. It keeps us seeing the thing, but never obtaining it. And so I had to do like a lot of work mentally to help myself unlearn some things about money, but then start to give myself permission to take on opportunities, to believe that I could have that kind of money, to understand it. And so when I was watching this video, it was the first time as I was watching his video that it like occurred to me, Chris, your beliefs about the money is is the reason why you don't have it yet, or the reason why struggling with what you were making at the time, which wasn't really a struggle. It was more like I didn't have a lot of self-discipline. So I didn't understand like the what I should be doing with my money, all those different things, right? Like I just didn't understand. So I was watching this video, and he said something like midway through the video, and I'll never forget this. He said, if you want to get $100,000 a year job, you got to apply to $100,000 a year jobs. Oof. Like I had this explosion in my head. Now I know you're thinking to yourself, Chris, this is kind of simpleton stuff. It wasn't to me at the time. And by the way, for you, there are some things that right now, the only reason why you haven't obtained it, why you haven't experienced it, and why it hasn't become the norm for you is because there's something behind a limiting belief that you have that is really driving you. By the way, it's not the things that you say out loud to other people. Hey, I want to show you in a free training that I'm providing a ridiculously simple way to increase your income without quitting your day job. I'm giving you this opportunity to learn the things that I've learned from building my first side business to multiple side business and helping many other people do the same. Inside of this training, one of the greatest things is I'm giving away the secrets. That's right. The things that I've held on to that have helped me over and over and over again to be able to make multiples monies a month using my current skill set inside of the marketplace. I want to give that to you. So jump in, go to impactmyincome.com. That's right. Impactmyincome.com. Impactmyincome.com. And you can register and save your seat today. I guess that's my message. It's not. You're not going to say out loud typically what makes you the most vulnerable. But today I'm giving you permission because I'm sharing my story with you, right? So he gets to this part in the video and he says, the worst thing that can happen of you applying to jobs that are $100,000 a year salary is they just say no. But I'm going to tell you a problem with that when it comes to Chris. I don't like rejection. So the issue I had was it sounds great on the surface, but it's also tackling another core issue that I have. So my fear of money and being rejected are the two things that kept me for quite some time ever believing that that was going to be true in my life. What is it that you're dealing with? Not the thing that you're saying out loud. Nope, not the first thing that even comes to your mind. Because if I pick an apple off the tree, that doesn't mean I got to the root of it. I ate a symptom of it. I had the fruit of the tree's labor. What is the real root behind why you have a limiting belief around whatever you have? Whatever those are, if you don't mind sharing those, put them down in the comments. What is a limiting belief you had to get through? Right? How did you come out on the other side? What did you learn? What did you do as a result? Right? So when he said that, and he said, just apply, the worst thing that can happen is they can keep telling you no, or you actually get the job. And I thought to myself, this is like the most foreign, crazy, wild thinking I've ever heard of. And I remember the day. I'll never forget it. I remember the day. Now, I had applied to I followed the advice. I took it off of a free video that I found. I followed the advice, and I remember getting that job. I remember getting that job. I'll never forget. I went in for an interview, and as I'm in the interview, first of all, I at those times I would sweat like terribly. So I'm in my suit, but I'm dying on the inside, right? And I remember go through the interview. The interview was like an hour and a half. I leave the interview. I get home, and I want to say it was like about a week later, I got a phone call. And now it was interesting about the phone call was that my phone call was more like it was a normal conversation for them, but very unknown territory, most uncomfortable position for me. Never gotten a phone call like that. Got the phone call, lady says, hey, is this Chris Williams? I'm calling on behalf of, this company. I said, yeah. She said, hey, just want you to know, you are still in the running for, this particular role. And we've narrowed it down to a few candidates. We'd like to have another conversation with you. Okay, cool. When would you like to do it? Do you have time today? That scared the mess out of me because I was like, what are they going to talk about? I don't have time to prepare, blah, blah, blah. Right. I got all this stuff running in my head, but I just said, sure. And here's the thing that another learning lesson that I learned. Saying yes when you feel the most unworthy or unable to do the thing is probably the best time that you said yes. I'm going to tell you why. I have blown things because I was too overconfident. I just was. I've blown so many opportunities because I was overconfident. It feels like I was the most sharp, concise, and able to deliver when I said yes to something that made me nervous because I knew I wanted to make sure that I did the thing aptly. Like I put the work in. Hey, I want to show you in a free training that I'm providing a ridiculously simple way to increase your income without quitting your day job. I'm giving you this opportunity to learn the things that I've learned from building my first side business to multiple side business and helping many other people do the same. Inside of this training, one of the greatest things is I'm giving away the secrets. That's right. The things that I've held on to that have helped me over and over and over again to be able to make multiples monies a month using my current skill set inside of the marketplace. I want to give that to you. So jump in, go to impactmyincome.com. That's right. Impactmyincome.com, impactmyincome.com, and you can register and save your seat today. Had a conversation that afternoon. In the conversation that afternoon, I'm sitting with on a call about 4 or 5 people. They're asking me these battery questions, and at the end, one of the questions was around like talk to us about like how you may it was something around like tell us about how you would actually go about tackling these set of problems. Walk through the conversation. And at the end, someone says, hey, Chris, I want to thank you for your time today. I know this has been a long process, but we just want to make sure that we hire the right candidate. If we were to hire you, could you start this week? And I thought to myself, I had like this, it was like time stopped. And I looked at myself, looking at myself. It's like looking in the mirror and I'm like, so would you start this week? Are they playing you? Is this a real conversation or are they just blowing smoke? Right? Like that's what I had in my head, right? Now, I'm going to circle this back around here in a second. In my mind, I also said, but how much are they paying me? Because I still want to know, right? Like they still hadn't said like, hey, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars, right? And I'm giddy to figure that out, right? So I snapped back into time and I said, sure. What day would make sense for you all? Well, seeing as you got the job, I'd like to be able to have you come in on Thursday. This is like a Monday when I had the conversation. Now, if you've not seen Pursuit of Happiness, when Chris got the job, and he had to still remain calm in the moment, but boiling on the inside, that was me. Mainly because I've told my backstory before, like I had experienced a tough layoff prior to 2 years prior to that. So it was like a lot of rough stuff going on. So it was just a very interesting moment. And the ladies goes, all right, it was the HR lady. So they hung up and I'm on with the HR lady. She goes, hey, I'm going to go ahead and send over your offer letter. you sign it and then congratulations, you've gotten the job. And I remember looking at the salary. It was 102.40 or something like that, right? And I was like, what? Like I was blown away. Couldn't believe it. Just I like in my at that moment it was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Right? So what does this have to do with circling back to chromatophobia? My biggest problem was I told you my thoughts that I had out loud, but then the one that was internal. What I realized was the way I even thought about money and the way I feared my responsibility at that level. I feared all of these things. I made up stories, y'all, in my head. So thus, your subconscious, the reason why I talked about the fear of money and any fear of any limiting belief that you have, I want you to know your subconscious does not know if you're lying or telling the truth. Your subconscious takes you literal. It honestly will take what you say. Your subconscious does not have emotion attached to it. It's just, if you say it, it is. And it will ensure that every mechanism, every force, everything that you do, everything that you see, everything that you focus on will reinforce what you told your subconscious. And ladies and gentlemen, that loop of the way you think, what you tell yourself, what you believe to your subconscious will continue, has played in our lives over and over and over. It's the way we see life and the way we view things and the way we look at new things that come into our world. Interesting thought around chromatophobia, right? It's just, but I want us to all think about, like, I want you to share with me in the comments, what are some things that you have a limiting belief around? Even if you own a side business, you still have some limiting beliefs. It's human to have flaws. So don't like think it's terrible to think certain ways or have certain fears. I understand, as I mentioned at the beginning, self-awareness is the best thing you could ever learn. Knowing yourself. Because the better you are at that, the better you are to manage and deal with life external of you. Because I understand how I respond to things. I know what things I do. So when things like that cause me that particular response, I know how to manage myself. Because I'm going to tell you, I think emotional regulation is needed at every single level of life and in leadership. Emotional regulation. It's hard. I believe it's a lifelong journey. I don't think you ever master it. I just think you start to become more aware of who you are. And you understand how to get the most out of you, not other people. So listen, I wanted to share that with you today, and I have something for you. So if you're interested in understanding, like, what is it you can do as an ambitious employee? What is it that you can focus on? How can you build? How can you create something as an ambitious employee that you can actually learn, take your current set of skills, put it in a marketplace, and you just want to understand the mindset around that? I got a free training for you. I want you to go to impactmyincome.com, register. The training is on Thursday. It's a free training. Just an opportunity for you to learn, okay? Impactmyincome.com. Go there, register. I look forward to seeing you there. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, share it. And I can't wait to see you and continue to go and create massive action in your own life. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.